Less than 100 Ultramarines repulsed the wave of enemy traitor kin. Less than 100 remained of his once proud company of 6,000. He pushed the feelings of despair deep down. There would be a time to grieve, but this was not it. He would not let his own feelings poison the zeal of his men. The enemy had been repelled for the third time. Twice before, large waves of enemy Astartes had assaulted their position, along with the traitor Imperial Army personnel in void warfare body gloves. Twice they had tried to break their lines. The second attempt had proven costly, but both attempts had been denied. The dead lay where they fell. Those of the loyalists were moved back, until the numbers of the dead were too many to move. They reduced their combat deployment zone to fill the gaps. Every Ultramarine was injured in some way. Some had impact craters, others plasma burns and detonation impacts. A few suffered greatly and had been granted the Emperor's peace. Remo chose not to watch. One fallen battle brother lay at his feet, a gaping bloody hole where an eye once glowed emerald green. He considered the growing fog of war encroaching on their position. "Be ready for enemy contact," he ordered down the Vox. A collection of affirmations replied, including that of his friend, Chaplain Agellus. He would lead them to battle. They stood in rank and file, a circle of royal blue and gold. His own warplate, once a gleaming example of martial might, now muddied and scarified down to the base ceramite. His ornate warhammer, a brutal weapon pulsed with barely contained etheric energy. He twisted the weapon in his dominant hand while pointing out targets to his retinue. 20 Terminators checked target, peppering them with bolt shells that turned enemy chaff into pulverized meat and bone. The twin last cannon arrays of the Land Raider Spartan Dominus Rex glowed hot, scoring a charging approximation of a dreadnought, now contorted and mutated in a horrific parody of martial might.
"Next wave coming in,"
the sergeant of his command retinue bellowed, as more targets pierced the fog in patches, growing more numerous and better armoured by the second. A Rhino APC rolled across, blocking line of sight with the traitors walking behind it, using the vehicle as rolling cover. Several fatal impacts from the falchion Might of Espandor ended the life of a Rhino, cooking off and taking several traitors in the resultant detonation. The destruction of one of their remaining damaged aerial transports used as shields at the flanks rocked the Ultramarines' defenders. Chunks of armoured ceramite, adamantium and superheated metal pierced and ruined more of his kin nearby. His own warplate was forcibly driven to the deck by the immense detonation. Most were on their feet moments later. Several were not. Blood leaked from abused fibre bundles and ruptured armour panels. Blood flowed freely, regardless of the conditions in the frigid atmosphere. He felt the line begin to falter. Captain Remo overheard Chaplain Agellus bellow down the Vox.
"Remember your oaths, brothers. Remember who we fight for, who we stand for, who we swore to serve till death takes us. For the Primarch, for Leclerc, for the Emperor!"
Guns were reloaded and began firing into the distance. At the extreme range of sight, amidst the dust and fog of war, the unmistakable silhouette of knights and titans began to appear. Multiple companies of word-bearers, renegade guard detachments, and traitor night houses gathered to push back the Ultramarines. Again, their intel was flawed. This planet was far from deserted. The enemy nestled deep inside subterranean dwellings, avoiding identity from orbit, awaited the call from their Primarch to attack the realm of Ultramar. Seeing this as the most ideal moment, they would make an example of this sudden incursion by their most hated foe, a sledgehammer to eradicate a collection of ants. But these ants had teeth, and with enough bites could render the hand that swung the hammer to pulped flesh. Captain Remo continued to issue firing orders, identifying targets of opportunity for the larger weapon systems to eliminate. However, he knew one thing for certain: he would die on this world. He smiled amongst blood-soaked teeth as his Stormbolter gave a knowing click-click of an empty magazine. He had no ammunition left. Just before he gave the order to charge, as a single word-bearer broke through the ranks of the dead, an unusual sight greeted him. A shadow of a man, human in stature, however, decidedly lacking flesh. It held, for it could not be said to be a he, an ornate emerald staff that glowed with inhuman light, and a box of blackest metal in his hand. There it stood, at the crest of a hill no more than 100 meters away. It did not move, but had the most curious look of a metallic face. Captain Remo thought it was a strange mask. No, it wasn't a mask. It was its face. What in the throne was it? A forgotten Xenos race of a bygone era come to witness their demise? It spoke what he thought were words, but he could not decipher them. It twisted the black device in its metal digits, considering its next course of action. The first word-bearer broke the mire of his dead kin and began firing on the defenders.